is a bit special.
Now, this is a bit special, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We're talking about One Piece, one of the biggest content creators on the YouTube platform, Penguinz0's. Charlie had just caught up to One Piece via One Piece. So I think that's heavy cap. Honest to God, I do. But he did catch up to One Piece via One Piece, which is the sort of trimmed down version of the anime that follows bar for bar of the manga. But you're not here for me, you're here for this right here, where he talks about various things like his favorite character in the story. Dressrosa is in his top 3 arcs of the anime all time so far, and his thoughts on Marineford, which get really spicy. But first and foremost, let him yap.
I really like that arc, but I don't think anything will probably ever beat Marineford. I mean, I guess I can't say for sure because I don't know where One Piece is going to go, but Marineford was just a culmination of everything that had been building for so long in an extremely satisfying and emotional arc. This arc also opened my third eye to a painful revelation.
Open your mind!
That I may not know what the One Piece is yet, but I do know what the one truth is. That Mihawk is a fraud. Mihawk clashed briefly with Vista in the Marineford arc, and it became abundantly clear that this man might just not be the world's greatest swordsman. Maybe he's like King from One Punch Man, where everyone just perceives him as this unbeatable, indomitable force of nature, but in reality, he's just not. We haven't seen...
I would never dream of comparing Mihawk to King from One Punch Man. But mind you, he's a One Piece anime watcher, and he has caught up to the series via One Piece. Did they omit things? Probably. For example, remember how during that fight Marineford with Vista and Mihawk, there were added fight scenes in the anime? They weren't there in the manga, so I'm pretty sure that was skipped. But will that change his outlook on how he views Mihawk?
Mihawk do a single thing since he clashed with Zoro at the Baratie like 20 years ago. Like, it is so sad. Like, it is actually just so sad. He just gets by on aura and aura alone. Speaking of world's greatest swordsman, for the longest time throughout this series, my favorite character was Zoro.
Zoro.
But now that I'm finally caught up, it's still Zoro.
So listen, his favorite character in the story is Zoro, but he's also telling you that Mihawk is a fraud. Mihawk is fraudulent. His titles hold no value.
It's all there, black and white.
And you can't deny it. Mihawk fans have a gigantic monkey on their back. And that monkey is called Kaken no Vista. Flower Sword Vista has been such a heavy burden to bear, bro. We're talking about LeBron James 2017, 2018, just a massive burden to bear. Like Naruto at the very beginning of the series, Vista is someone that a lot of folks don't necessarily put in like their top 30 characters whenever they're doing, let's say, their tier lists, other content creators and so on and so forth. But at the same time, maybe he should be considered more frequently for a position. Though, of course, the issue is, okay, well, if you do that, though, you got to buff Ace and Marco. Are you cool with that? Some folks aren't. Some folks are. And if he feels this way about Mihawk, I do wonder how he views the upcoming battle between Zoro versus Mihawk and how that's going to play out. Is it going to really be a fraudulent sort of fight, or is it going to be more so, well, actually it's going to be some pretty epic stuff, but him being the world's strongest swordsman, heavy cap? And here's where I need to like defend the idea, because as a One Piece savant, oh my god, as someone that does dive deeply into the story of One Piece on a regular basis, I think that what he's kind of getting at here essentially is that because there are some people that wield swords in One Piece, they're all viewed as swordsmen per se, flatline, and then he's kind of basing it based on that idea, the baseline idea of what a swordsman in One Piece is, and engage from there. So essentially, because all these folks wield swords and stories, but someone like Vista was clashing bar for bar with Mihawk, and Mihawk couldn't beat Vista, and they had to postpone their duel. That doesn't look good on someone like Mihawk, who has the title of the world's greatest, the world's strongest swordsman. In reality, what should have happened is that with one swing or two swings, he should have just crushed Vista, like in the same way he crushed Daw's bones, right, in the Marineford. But here is Vista, not even the right-hand man of Whitebeard. Like, he's 4th or 5th down the ladder, and he's trading fairly with Mihawk. Even though I think he's wrong in calling Mihawk a fraud, I can see why he's called a fraud. I can see why. I disagree. Come here. Come here. I disagree that Mihawk is a fraud. I disagree. I don't think he is. I think that without a damn doubt, Mihawk has the greatest sword skill in the series. Correct. Absolutely. I've said that time and time again. A lot of folks have swords in the series, but are they necessarily skilled in using the sword, right? I harken back to Zoro's statements about King the Wildfire. What he said about King the Wildfire. Oh yeah, you never said that you were a swordsman. Right. But either way, I think he's wrong on the subject. And I do find it interesting too that he even says things like Mihawk didn't really do much on Marineford. I don't know what One Piece did. I have no idea. But I always thought that Mihawk had some pretty good stuff at Marineford. Cutting the giant frozen tsunami in half, almost taking out Luffy's arms, sniping Luffy with a giant aircut in the middle of that whole battlefield, things of that sort. Like, I thought he had a good showcase. But it feels, honest to God, that because Vista, like, it's all Vista. It's all Kakeno Vista. Because Vista did what he did with Mihawk, even though he looks so impressive, it feels like nothing really happened because it's offset by the world's greatest swordsman, A, being unable to, let's say, beat Vista, B, before all that, Diamond Jozu. Diamond Jozu just tanking the world's strongest slash and that's it up into the sky. Things of that sort, where it's like you would expect the world's greatest swordsman to be literally stronger than every person with a sword on the island or in the world, hence the title. At the same time, the titles are vague and ambiguous. Like, we've been debating for how many years now? Who was stronger, the world's strongest man or the world's strongest creature, right? And then folks would say it's actually the world's strongest man, Whitebeard. Other folks would say it's the world's strongest creature, Kaido, right? And so there are various claims in other mediums, like the light novels or video games, that have their own takes on what is the case about the world's strongest man and the world's strongest creature. They're not as clear-cut or as all-encompassing as the titles themselves suggest, but there's a lot of nuance in there they have to kind of siphon through in order to make that title make sense, right? All I have to say is that this was very spicy. I have the full reaction to his entire video over on my KOLite YouTube channel, where I do a whole bunch of random reactions to like a lot of different things in terms of gaming, politics, news, things of this sort as well too. So check it out over there on the KOLite YouTube channel for the entire full reaction to Penguinz0's video about where he is right now in the story of One Piece and his thoughts on the story as a whole.